G'day viewers, welcome to another super helpful, super cool repair video from the Goat Shed. Now today we're doing a mini training course with our apprentice Coil here, and he's working on his Gottlieb Pro Football. Now I mentioned in another video that we had this Pro Football coming in, so what we've had him doing is clean all the parts so far, and at the moment he's having a little go there with the step unit frame. We'll show you what he's up to in a moment. Bit of rust on the bottom, so he's got a little bit of a he's doing a good job. That was pretty rusty. I hope we'd have caught that. He's too fast, this guy. What's the name of that stuff you're using?
It's 3M cloth. I'm not sure the exact name of it.
Okay, there you go. It's got the 3M brand on it. Oh, you may not. Can you see a 3M? There you go. And that's quite a good cloth. So, yeah, we'd never been introduced to that before. I'd seen it years ago. Anyway, needless to say, we'll let him keep polishing away there. So, today is Monday, the 19th of August, 2024. It's 13 degrees Celsius outside, which is 55.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Partly cloudy, overcast day, a bit like we had in the weekend while we're filming this, and I don't expect we're going to see a hell of a lot of sunlight today. So all the parts for this game have been put through the ultrasonic cleaner and cleaned up. We're in the middle of there's most of the parts there. We're going to reassemble them and adjust them on the fly as part of Coil's training. So we hope you'll stick with us while we do this. I know we've done a lot of videos on step units, but I'm not sure that we've done one for a long time on this level anyway. So a little bit of revision doesn't hurt anybody. Gathering by some of the questions that get asked over the weekend, we helped a guy in the USA. I won't say his name, but he reached out for a problem with a ball count unit. He was having issues with it. He put in a brand new spring kit, but it turned out he hadn't adjusted the step unit correctly. We sent him one of our previous videos on the ball count unit for a Gottlieb, and when I woke up this morning and looked, he sent us a nice message saying thank you for that, he's fixed it. There was an adjustment out. He didn't say which one, I didn't ask, but it's good to know that one of our videos has helped somebody. Now, I guess one of the main things here is that a lot of people say, oh, you don't need to pull these things down that far. Well, I'm sorry, I beg to differ. This machine hasn't had any love since it was brand new in, 74 I think this one is. So, 50 years. It's never been pulled apart. The coil sleeves in it are original, you can tell that. We've got them here, let's take one out. Like, I'll even here's a coil that's been polished on the buffer. I'll put that in, it just doesn't feel smooth, it feels really grungy. I'll take that out, I'll put a brand new sleeve in, like you should. And I'll put that in there, and it's as smooth as silk. So really, really, really helps a lot when you replace those parts. I'm going to point out other parts in a minute that sometimes you need to replace. This is the escapement wheel. Now, we always generally polish this shaft on the buff just to give it a bit of a finer clean, a bit slightly or deeper clean. Okay, that spring is a little grotty and dirty, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's still got shape to it. And we don't really need to replace it. Now, earlier in the week, someone asked about these. How do you replace these springs? You've got to unloop them out of their eye up the top on the frame. But this here is a split pin that it's wrapped around. So that the spring goes through the eye of the split pin, then they just wrap the pin. It's wrapped around underneath and then over the top. Can you see that? There it is there. See how so it comes through the hole. Let's get it in focus. Comes through the hole. That's the hole there. and then it just gets bent over here, bent over there, and the end of the spring goes through the eye there. Fairly straightforward. Bear in mind we have, this is the adjustment here. Or this isn't adjustable, this hasn't got a nut on, so they're fixed. And then on the back, that post there that you see, that's the 0 stop position. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And remember, people, remember, so many people say, oh God, I've got a broken tooth. No, you haven't. That is deliberately removed so that the step unit can only go, in this case, 6 steps. 5 balls and the 5th step is game over. It can't go any further than that. So they're not broken, even though it might look that way. And some are 15 positions, some are 10 positions, varying positions depending on the game. There's a better view of it. Alright, well look, he's done a pretty good job cleaning that up with that 3M cloth. I think he's very happy with it, aren't you?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, great. Seeing as it's his machine, we'll let him do what he wants to do to it. Now we're going to put this all back together. Now, what happens here is we've got to put the, I like to put the drive arm on. Now this is the drive arm that he's got in his hand there. But what we'll do, Kyle, it makes it a lot easier if we get the drive arm and we get the screw, the shoulder screw, which is this one here, the big long one. And what I like to do, the drive arm has a detent latch on it. That's this one here. Now, you just need to spin that round. It goes like that. I then like to put the screw through it, like that. And then it's good to go. Now that latch is sprung loaded. One spring here hooks on for the drive arm, and the other spring there, that one, that hooks onto the drive pawl. But the only other thing we've got to do, we've got to get that drive pawl, and we're going to put a tiny bit of machine oil, Singer sewing machine oil on the pivot. Just a drop. There it is there. Now we've done that, you can be assured that moves freely. Now you may screw that into the frame. Carefully using the right size screwdriver, he's going to screw that into the frame. He'll tighten that up. Right, now he will put the washer, and on the back he'll put the washer on, and he'll put the nut back on. Now the nut is the green screwdriver, which is, there he is, he's about to do that. So the green screwdriver is a 11/32 nut driver. When he gets to the end, he'll probably have to put the screwdriver in to hold the screw against the nut from it turning. I always do anyway. He's got it? Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, now just before we go too much further, people, one thing that we really always should do is check for loose screws. So he's got his big number 8 yellow screwdriver there, and he's just going to put those in the screw heads and just pretending he's trying to loosen the screw, looking for loose screws. Very, very important to do this because screws do come loose. Look at that, it's all looking good so far. Okay, now he's going over there to try that. That's that part that often breaks. That's that drive arm stop, and he's only got 2 more screws to do after that, and that's the coil casing ones at the rear of the frame. There they are there, see those? they come loose sometimes. I mean, we may have to adjust that yet, but you'll always check for loose screws. Okay, you happy with that?
Yep.
Very good. Right, now the next thing we like to do, we like to put on the actual coil casing. Now, he's cleaned the coil case up. Looks pretty good and shiny. He's checked the nut on the back, which once again you use your 11/32 nut driver to check. Make sure that's okay. He's checked that he's happy. He doesn't need to change the coil stop. It looks quite good. So what he's going to do now, he's going to put that back into the unit. So we just changed the coil sleeve. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop that on there like that. All right, we're going to pop. I'll just give that a little clean. That spring washer, that's that big spring washer. You'll just give that a little clean. That's good. And then we'll put the coil case back together. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to get the plunger, which is here, and you just like to pop it down in there, and it must hook in to the white bit, like the. And you get it. That's it. Don't put them in the other way round. Always make sure the gap is showing. If you put it in backwards, it throws the drive out, and by that I mean if this is inverted, this part here. Okay, the gap, the groove should be at the front like it is, not so that we can't see the white piece. Some people put them back together incorrectly, and of course that will cause you all sorts of trouble because it can jam. It hasn't got the same freedom, it can jam up and you'll get problems which you don't want. Believe me, trust me. Alright, well we've got that spring there, and I'm just looking for the other washers. Okay, here we go. Alright, so what he's going to do now, he's going to always point the coil lugs out that way. He's going to we're going to put the spring on, faces, see it's dished, so you face the spring up, put it on there like that, then we just pop it down here like such and make sure that goes in the hole. And then what he's going to do, first one you put in is that one there. Normally this is a 9/64 Allen key. Can you get it in? No, you've got a bit of weight on them. You got that?
Yep.
Okay, there's your Allen key. Just finger tighten that. Then I like to put one in up the top, because the one on the left side doesn't have a washer on it. See the spring washer? It doesn't have one, because the left side is where a little tab goes for the grounding of the lights on the ball count unit. So that's all you've got to remember there. There's a 9/64 as well if you don't do the handle. Just while he's doing that, I'll just remind you, we've shown this previously in other videos, but here in my on the left here is a drive or reset arm, and here on the right is a reset arm. Notice the big groove in it? That's not supposed to be there, that groove. That was badly worn in a player unit on a Gottlieb magnetron, I think it was. We had to change that. So in other words, the escapement wheel went right into it like that. It's not supposed to. It sits on the edge like this. Not supposed to go down that far. See that? You can see the other one. It went right in. That's pretty bad. That's one of the worst I've seen. And the reason is lack of maintenance. Everything was just sticking, things weren't restoring, and of course you end up with those type of problems. And you know, maybe if you didn't pull that apart like we do, you wouldn't have seen that part. I'll put that back in our Chamber of Horrors so we can look at that in our training course, which we've got another one coming up week after next. So this coming Friday, let's see, what'll that be, 23rd? What have we got today, 19, 20, 20? Yeah, Friday 23rd in the Friday afternoon in the USA. If you follow us on Facebook, you'll see Mark Gibson Fun with Pinball is having another training course, and we just finger tighten that one, Kyle, because we need to take that out later. Righto, that's good. Now what you do, just hold that up and you can see what you want to be assured of is that this all moves up and down freely like that, because what can happen is you can get this bracket, it can be sort of slightly angled and it won't, the plunger doesn't go in cleanly. Now that one isn't too bad, and you can always tell by the frame. We'll just hold that round just a little bit more to make sure everything is perpendicular there, like straight up, like the edge of the coil casing is lined up with the frame. If it's not, you loosen these two screws on the back and you can adjust it, but you can also adjust it up and down. We may or may not have to do that. Alright, that's great, we've got that in. This is the drive pull here just flopping in the road. Notice we haven't fitted any springs yet, people. We don't need to fit the springs. The next thing we're going to put in is the shoulder screw. That's that one that was really, really sticky, had that grease on it. We've cleaned all that up. That's part A1059. Your nut is a 632 nut. Now what I like to do, I like to get a block of wood, which we just put behind there, and lay that over like this, just to make it easier to put the nut in, the screw in. I like to screw it in from one side, screw it in from the opposite side, just to help the thread. So I'll get you to do that, Kyle, if you would please. Just screw it in. The thread seems to get a bit funny on them, that 632 thread. He'll screw that in. It'll go in a little bit crooked at first. Tighten that up to get it going. They're hard to get started, mate. And then I turn it over and do exactly the same on the other side. Like I say, that'll help you get that in much easier when you're doing the whole job. Looks like he's got a start on that now. What I also like to do while that's happening, I like to get a little tiny bit of oil and just drop it on there. Look, I didn't get the oil. There you go. Just to help that go through. Then you can back it out, turn it over, and do exactly the same on the other side. Now viewers, you don't have to do this. This is just something that I've developed over the years of working on small mechanical equipment. We did it a lot on typewriters where there were certain screws that were awkward to get at, hard to get at, and you simply just had to do it. It's fiddly, but as I said, thanks to Steve Young's Pinball Resource in Poughkeepsie, New York, they make those screws if you are unfortunate enough to break them. And hey, look, we've broken them. I mean, I had a really tight one about a month ago, and it was actually the the longer shoulder screw. This is a shorter shoulder screw. Remember, there's two types, and they still break. And the reason I broke it, I was impatient. I didn't leave enough time with it soaking. So to get them off, we often spray them with a bit of WD-40, or we use something like this. I'm not sure if you can get this in the USA. That's, well, I'm sure you can get Penetrine, that particular brand or breed. Let's see, that's made by, let's have a look. Oh, this is one, a local one made by Advanced Chemicals in Victoria, and I think you can buy this quite easily. So I also have another type of penetrating oil that was used in aircraft, which is pretty cool. Alright, so what we're going to do now, he's got that in there, and we're going to put that in and the drive arm. So what we do with this, we take that screw back out. We've already run a Q-tip through here, and you know, I also get the 443 Dremel tool and run it through there to make it nice and smooth. We've cleaned that up. So what happens is this goes in that way like that. That's the bit where the reset fits for the plunger. So we're simply gonna, the trick here is, people, it's got to be on that side like that. So just put that in, screw that in. Now when he gets that in, he's going to basically tighten that right up, and he's almost ready to do that. And see what happens, like if he hadn't have done what we just showed you, like screwed it in from both sides, you struggle sometimes to get it in. You just got to make sure that's on the right side, which it is. Tighten it right up. Yeah, not super tight, mate. Just now back it off about a quarter of a turn, maybe a bit more, till it's free, moving on its own. Yeah, that's great. Let's just feel that. You want that. Yeah, that's good. You don't want too much lateral movement, because when you tighten up the nut, what you've got to do now is put the nut and washer on the back, which he's going to do now, and then he'll have to use his yellow screwdriver, which is the 5/16. There it is. Nut driver, I should say. Tighten that up, and then just turn it around and make sure it's still free. That's it, beautiful. And it is, yeah. Right. Now see how that arm is hitting there? This is the detent, so normally that would be down, preventing it from latching, and then it'll go forward. But we'll show you that under spring tension. Now, yes.
Do we need to go in first?
Let's have a look. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it does, yeah. Okay, people, that's okay. He's made a little, he probably didn't realise, but he's not put that screw right in. Let's just show you that. Bang. I didn't see that. See the shoulder's still there. Yeah, so just loosen it off and screw the screw back in, mate. That's all there is to it. Screw it right in. Ah, that's it, yeah. It's the one we didn't have more lateral movement in.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Oh, I know what's happened. As I've done the nut, that's come out.
Yeah, probably, yeah. You need to. So just make sure that's free again. That's tight, too tight. So look. Still a little tight, it's got a bit of a bite in there. That's it. That looks good. Put the screwdriver back in and tighten the nut. Anyway, lesson for everyone while we're out on the job. That's it. Not over tight, that's good enough. Yeah. Just make sure that's free. No,
too tight.
Too tight. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Just back her off and back the screw off a bit. Sometimes you got to fiddle I back that screw off a fraction of a turn, because when you tighten it up again, it's going to go against the frame. That's it, that's pretty good. Tighten her up. Excellent. Check it now. How's that? That's a feel. No, it's too tight. Still feel the bite in it there. Just loosen it off a bit more. It's good practice. Loosen your nut off first. When you first do these, they're a bit fiddly, of course, but you know, he's doing quite well. It's like only his first sort of go. It's still, yeah, that's all right. Just loosen it up a bit more. That's it. Now just look. Let's just hold the screw over in. It's still a fraction too tight. So what's happening here, people, is when we're loosening the nut, what we need to do is back that screw off a little bit. See the screw's turning? Back it off a bit more. Yeah, a bit more. No, still not quite right. Beautiful. Nice. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to put the escapement wheel back in. Feel that? Okay. And with the escapement wheel, all we need to do, what you have to remember, is that this here, this arm here, right here, that is your zero stop. So this part here, let's hold it up. Oops, sorry. This part here rests against that zero stop. So you put it in, and you just need to get this stuff out of the road a little bit. Put it in and bring it round to the zero stop. Then what you do, you get your torsion spring and you hold it in, and you wind that spring around once, twice, 3 times. That might have been 4. And what I do then, I just sit that up there like that, and I like to feel it. It's just got to snap back into place. I'm very happy with that. Now all we need to do is put that down in there like that. Right? And then what I do now, because this is important, you put this back on, just finger tighten it. It doesn't matter where you do it. And it's a 1/8 Allen key, which is here I think, so that the whole thing won't fall out. Right? And a rule of thumb is, you look where the old screws were, but I'm going to let you into a little secret. That's just finger tight. Often, by having it just more or less like that, that hole lining up with that hole, which is a little bit high, it's good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to hook all the springs back on. So let's just have a look at that. And the first spring we're going to put on, or I always put on, is this one. So just push that D-tab down so we can get that across. And then what we're going to do, we're going to hook that spring in there, Coil, and it hooks into this hole here. So I don't know how you want to have a go yourself, or you want to use the hook. Let's see how he goes. Putting springs on sometimes takes a bit of practice. That spring hook he's got there is not a real good hook. It's the way I like to use them. It's more an L. He's almost got it. I think he's got it. Beautiful. Okay, the next spring we put on is this one, and so many times we see these hooked into here that people think it goes in there, but it doesn't. This is the hook where it goes. You just pop that up there, and you can pop that on with your finger, The only other spring we've got to hook on now is this one. Now, because this detent's in the road, what you need to do is turn it upside down. You put your finger over there like that, and I'll just illustrate this. There's the spring. Let's come in closer. There's the spring here. Bring it in and roll it over. Whoops. Bring it in and roll it over. Whoop, still not got it. The trick here, did I get it? Mm-hmm. There you go. Sorry about that, people, it's a bit hard to see, but the trick is to hold that pawl against itself. Now, we've actually got this reassembled to a point where we can almost test everything. The only thing we've got to put on now is we've got to put on the reset coil and plunger. So all we're going to do now is we've got two screws and a nut, and we're going to put those back on. Now simply what happens here, people, is we're going to change that plunger, put a new one in, and what we'll do is put it all back together here.
Any thoughts on spring tension and whether we need to remove any?
Well, we're going to have a look at that in a minute. That's exactly right. We're just going to put the unit completely back together and then we're good to go. So all we do here is we simply slide that through there like that, pop that on there like that, and we get the C-clip and we put it on. Now what I do, I just pop it on there like that. Then what I do, I just didn't get quite organised here. I've got to find a pair of pliers, like here they are, and I just like to hold that there and clip it into place. Snap. Okay, I think I did a video on how to put C-clips on. The only other thing we need to do is put the coil on. So we put it on so the lugs face out. We put the coil stop in, and we put the screws on from this side. I'll let you do that. And then we put the nuts on. So this is a full rebuild of a ball count unit. Just while he's doing that, what we've done, we've put new braid here on the wiper unit, new earth braid, and we've obviously taken the snowshoes right out, checked the springs and everything are okay. I mean, we do have new ones of these, but as long as they're going, the idea is you push them both down, you want them both to come back up together. You don't want one to be a bit late. Okay, beautiful. You clean those holes out where they go when you've got them out with a Q-tip and that to get everything out of it, all the gunk. Because we're not ready to put that on yet. That's the very last thing you do. Okay, he's got them on. You tighten them up with the nut driver. You'll find they'll tighten up just by putting the nut driver on. Sometimes it's hard to get the nut driver. Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. Alright, now comes the adjustment part of it all. Checking and adjusting. Okay, that's fabulous. Right. So, the first thing that we have to do here, and let's set it up a little bit higher so that it's... Now, remember, people, this was the zero stop that we had here. That's the front of it. Remember, it was the lug on the wheel. What we need to be assured of is that the reset arm, which is this arm here, remember that one I showed you badly worn on the other one, we want that reset arm to be able to go cleanly into the tooth. Now, this thing here, this is like a lock. So the idea of that is that when the thing resets, that's going to pull in, and this arm is going to this arm here is going to go up. So like that, it locks it into place. Now, the technical name for this is a detent. A detent is a spring-loaded lock. I've looked it up, and I don't think Gottlieb call it that. I think they just call it a lock. But if we were talking in terminology of office machinery and other stuff, it's a lock. Now, what we want to do, we want to make sure when we hold that lock out of the road, not every stepper has one of these. We want to be able to pull that reset arm out of the road, and we want pull that just down, that detent I should say. Operate the reset arm, and the reset arm has got to fall under the tooth and go right in. And when I say that, I mean it's possible that the tooth could be altered and it doesn't go right in. See, things like that. See, that's not in there. And if that was the case, you have to adjust the zero stop position by loosening this screw here, and that is elongated. That'll move like that. Okay, but that's fine. Now the next thing we do, we have to step this up, and there's probably a better view of it too, viewers. Like, let's just show you that again. See, that's falling into there. That's probably the way I should have done it. Now, that's the pawl it's pushing on. That's the drive pawl. It's pushing that out of the road. It's resting on the detent. So when we drive, when we push the plunger in here, what we want to see, that'll fall into place, that come down about a half a tooth, which that's not too bad. And when that goes back up, you want that to fall back into the tooth cleanly. So let's just do that again. Drive. Hang on. This way. That's driving up. Hang on, I'm just going to adjust that again, and I'm going to put that. There we go. Driving. Half a tooth. Yes. Just trying to get the focus in on that. Right this way. That's fine. And this, when it goes back up, is dropping into the tooth cleanly still, the reset arm. If the reset arm isn't dropping into the tooth cleanly, we need to adjust this adjustment here by loosening those two screws and altering it. But you only never need to move it like not even a millimetre, right? Very slightly. That's only if on the drive that's not falling in properly, or the tooth isn't, or the drive pawl isn't falling in properly. I hope I'm making sense there to you. Okay, that's good. Now the only other adjustment that we need to check then is that once we're happy it's only going up half a tooth, we'll reset that. We hold the drive arm up in the air like that, and see this stop here, the zero stop, or not the zero stop, the drive arm stop. We've got to check the adjustment on that. And what we do, we use a bit of paper. Look at that. I told him to watch a video yesterday. He's done that. We're going to stick a bit of paper in there like that, and we want that paper to be able to come out easily. Now that's not, it's tight. So that means that that arm is, I should say the arm is driving the plunger up a little bit too high. So the plunger, remember, should rest on the coil stop, but in this case it's actually resting more on this here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to loosen that with a screwdriver. The big yellow screwdriver you'll generally find does that job. That's it, they're a bit tight often. Yep, that's it. Yeah, beautiful. Now what I do is loosen that, but what I do, I thump it with that. That might move it a little bit. We'll just check it with the paper again. Hold it up. And that's coming out. See, I can drag that out now. Beaut. Now he'll just tighten that up. Yeah, beautiful. And that's how you adjust those, people. It's quite simple to do. We're talking earlier on, or just recheck that. I always recheck adjustments when I've done them, like that. We're talking earlier on about sometimes it's necessary to adjust this adjustment, only occasionally, and that of course is if once we've driven, once we start, we want that to go back up. And see, this is about to fall back in, and it did, right? It is out a fraction, but the detent's holding it down, so I just want to check that there. That is out just a little bit. See, that's a bit slow going in, it's just hitting the tooth. Now what that means, it's barely negligible, but do you know what? I'm a bit fussy. I'm going to actually adjust that. Now what that means, to adjust that, I've got to let the escapement wheel, I've got to let that go a little bit higher, just a little bit. So what that means is I've got to let the arm go up, just to adjust that arm just a touch more. So we're just going to do that. Now what I said I'd do, just before you do that, Coil, I like to get a reference point on those. And what I like to do, I just like to score across there so I know where I started. Just like that. Okay, now you can loosen it up a bit, mate. Well, it's good we've got to do that a bit. I missed that the first time round. When I was watching it, I could see there wasn't something quite right. But that'll do. Now what I want to do with that, I'm going to bring that actually down a bit. Just a bit. Tight still somewhere. Oh, there we go. Just like to tighten that up there, mate, please. Just a finger tight. Beautiful. So people, I move that down a little bit, as you may have noticed. I'm just going to recheck that. Now see what's happened when I moved it down, it's hitting the tooth. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to loosen that again, and I'm going to move it up a bit. Just tighten it around there. Beautiful. You don't need to go very far on these type of adjustments, people. Now you'll notice that it's going in cleanly. And you might remember I moved it down at first, but what did I say prior to moving it down about 30 seconds before? I said I need to move it up. Right? I just wanted to do that to show you the effect it can have on it so you understand what's going on. Now we have pretty much a perfectly adjusted ball count unit. So here we go, the detent's locked, up it goes, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, and it cannot step any further because the cutout is here, not allowing the tooth, the dry pawl to drive a tooth. Well, that, people, is a ball count unit by Gottlieb. All the Gottlieb step units are pretty much the same. We do have the replay unit to do, but we won't bother going into that with you. What did you think of that, Coil?
Oh, I thought that was awesome. I picked up a few more things then.
And you watched the video?
Yeah, I watched it twice before, and I thought this was
Okay.
extra again.
Right, yeah, and you've done it in real life now, so
Yeah.
it's not
Thank
too
you.
difficult to do. So I think what we've got to do now, I think one thing we need to do is tighten those 2 screws. Or did we?
No, we haven't talked.
No, okay, so tighten those up, yeah. It's easy to forget. Okay. Well, there you go, viewers. That's a full rebuild, except we didn't show you how to strip it out of the machine, but you've just got to desolder the wires on the coils, both coils, and where this bracket is just here, that's where the switch is screwed in, and it's easy to see the stack goes on this side because that's where it's shiniest, and we'll clean the switches. They're still attached to the wiring loom. You don't have to unsolder any of those, and as I said, when you put this back in the game, we'll be able to undo that and put the eyelet on for the ground for the step unit. So that's it. That's a total rebuild of a Gottlieb ball count unit in a training environment, mistakes and all. And we all make mistakes, and we're all here to learn each other. And what do we say? Spanky says, do it once, do it right. Don't do a band-aid solution. It's just not worth it. You all saw how, or I explained how that shoulder screw here had all the white grease in the back of it. You can't clean all that out unless you remove it. Okay. Well, that's it. Could you just pass me the goat? Because Spanky would like to have a good look at that. There he is. He's very, very happy with that job. It was good for him to be involved. And thank you, Coil. That's right. And this has been another Goat Shed presentation.